And we're live. Welcome in, everybody, to the second weekly Cooking with Carmel. Cooking with Carmel. We will be cooking with Carmel. We will also be cooking with Carl. Today, we are making ice cream. We're going to stop during the freezing process to make some caramel corn. And then we're going to be finishing up the ice cream. Now, the cool thing about this is the ice cream doesn't require any special ice cream machines or mixers or anything like that. No fancy ingredients. We're going to do with standard stuff that you could find in an average person's kitchen. And if you join halfway through, we will be doing two batches. So if you are dashing around right now in your kitchen trying to gather all the ingredients together, don't worry. You can have me on in the background and get your stuff together. And then when I make it the second time around, you can follow along with me. Also, for those of you, if you are sitting in chat and you would like to follow along, there in chat, either down there or there, depending on if you're on desktop or mobile, I have my Discord. If you would like to join that Discord, agree to all the rules, all that fancy stuff, and hop in the cooking channel, you will find in the pinned messages, or if you scroll up a bit, a complete list of all the ingredients and all the items you will need for cooking. Without further ado, let's get started on the ice cream. Let me just switch. There we go. So, we have our lovely overhead camera. Hello. First things first. Let me pull up my recipe, make sure I'm getting my ingredients all together. All right. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Ziploc bags to hold the ice cream and Ziploc bags to hold the ice and the salt, which will eventually freeze the ice cream. So, what you're going to want to do is get your measuring cup. We're going to want a half cup of milk. I read the wrong step. So let me just grab the milk from the fridge here. Be right back. Now, I'm being fancy because I like me. Oh, shoot. Have a minor leak. That's fine. I like me some whole milk in my ice cream. I don't generally drink whole milk for normal drinking purposes, but I find that whole milk makes the ice cream much more tasty. So, you want half a cup of whole milk. We'll put that in our bowl here. There we go. That's good. And then we're going to want half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Now, this is the exact recipe that I used in 8th grade to make ice cream in science class, but I substituted heavy whipping cream for the condensed milk. They said condensed milk. I said no, thank you. Now, if I can just find the heavy whipping cream in the refrigerator, that would be great. Hold up, folks. Hey, MZen. Welcome in. We're getting the heavy whipping cream way in the back. Sorry. Welcome in, MZen. How are you doing on this fine afternoon? We're making ice cream. And do not worry, if you would like to make ice cream along, I will be doing a second portion. So, you haven't missed out. But yes, MZen, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Ugh. Heavy whipping cream. A little too good. All right. So we're going to need half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Let's put that in the bowl. I see my shadow now. I see. I do need an assistant, but I'm not gonna bug someone else. These are the only two that I left in the fridge, so we should be good there. I need lovely Vanna White. All right, you see me, right? Yeah, here we are. Okay, sweet. Let's throw this back in the fridge. And now, for the last two ingredients in the ice cream, we're going to have 4 teaspoons of sugar. So I have my sugar in a marshmallow cream bag, but this is just granulated beet sugar. Pull out 1 teaspoon. All right, what is that? 4 teaspoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I should have been doing. Doing it like the count. Okay. So we got that. And then, of course, vanilla extract. All my ingredients are behind my computer, so I apologize. Vanilla extract. And I'm making this first portion for my father. So he has chosen... Oh, this is a fresh batch. So you're going to want... half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm not too worried about like specific portions here, so a little squirt. So you can omit the vanilla if you're just making something else, some other flavor. My father has asked that I make cinnamon. So we're going to put... He said he wants a teaspoon of cinnamon. Come on. This cinnamon doesn't have a spigot on it. Good enough. Pour that in there. And now we whip it. Now, what makes ice cream ice cream and not just a block of frozen milk is the fact that it is aerated. It is whipped. So especially if you have heavy whipping cream, it can be handy to whip it up. Is my camera on me? Are we all good? Okay. It can be handy to whip it up nice and good in the first place before you ever start freezing it, to try to get some of that air in there. Now you can use a whisk, you can use a fork, all that good stuff. Looks like some of the cinnamon is sticking to the sides. We don't want that. Nope. So whip that up nice and good. Get that nice and fluffy. Everything's nice and well mixed. So then what we want to do is we want to pour that into like a quart-sized bag. So what we're going to do is, hopefully I don't absolutely flub this. We're going to try pouring it into the bag. There we go. And you're going to want to seal that nice and tightly. Make sure everything is there. In terms of air in the bag, you don't want to completely suck all the air out because, again, one of the ingredients in ice cream is air, specifically. That's what gives it the nice fluffy texture, so you don't have to, like, stab it with a knife to carve chunks off. That's why when ice cream melts and then like on the sides of a thing and then refreezes, it's like hard because it melts and all the air escapes. So the point is to continue to have air in it while it is freezing. So the other suggested thing that we did in 8th grade is to put it in a second quart bag, just in case one of the quart bags punctures. You won't spill your ice cream all over on the inside of the freeze bag. Now is the time for the freezing. So beforehand, I prepared a gallon bag full of ice. Let me pull that from the freezer. The heck? So I've got a gallon bag full of ice here. All right, let me switch to the big face. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to add a whole cup, screw it, a whole cup of salt. Now, this can be any sort of salt. Any salt works, really. I think even like not table salt, like not rock salt, sodium chloride works as well. Full tab. But we have, my father found some Morton rock salt, ice cream salt for ice cream making. So that's perfect. So you're going to want to pour about a cup of salt in here. You want a lot of salt. Get all that crud around. So what this does is, scientifically speaking, salt, when it comes in contact with ice and forms salt water, kind of, salt ice. Salt water, salt ice, whatever you want to call it, has a lower melting point than regular ice. So what that does is it makes the ice able to melt faster and more easily, and even when it's cold out. So the reason we want it to melt faster is because when a solid turns to a liquid, didn't think you were going to get some chemistry in here, did you? When a solid turns to a liquid, it needs to draw heat from the environment to melt, right? Because all those atoms are locked together in a solid complex. So you need to add more energy to break all those bonds apart and make it flow. Now, the question is, where does that energy come from? The answer is from the surroundings. Now, in our case, the surroundings that we're interested in, again, we double bag it just in case. The surroundings we're interested in is not the environment, but the ice cream itself, right? So we want the process of the ice melting to pull heat from the ice cream. That's what we're looking for. So what you want to do is, see if we can't ziplock this double bag. I'll pop this one open. What we're trying to do is, instead of just putting it in the freezer and letting it sit, we're going to want to massage it for the next 10 to 30 minutes to keep all of that air in the ice cream. Because again, that's what makes it ice cream and not just ice chunks. Probably would have been helpful in retrospect if you put the ice in first, put half the ice in, then put the ice cream, and then put the other half of the ice on top. Because you're going to want to make sure your ice cream bag is completely covered and surrounded by ice. That's what's going to help you. Because when all that ice is melting, yeah, it's going to pull some heat out of the air, but it's also going to pull heat out of the ice cream itself. Now, like I said, ideally you do want to keep massaging it and massaging it the whole time, like so you can, and shaking it and stuff like that, so you can keep the ice cream all aerated in there, because that's really what you want. You want your ice cream to be aerated and fluffy and whipped up. But since this is a cooking stream and we don't have everything prepared beforehand, it won't really be interesting to just see me massage a bag for 10 to 30 minutes, even though I'm sure you'd love to see my face massaging a bag. We'll put that off. So now it's nice and covered, surrounded by the ice. I'll set that, shake it around maybe, make sure all the salt, the rock salt, and the ice is getting around there. I'll set that off to the side. And now, oh, that only took 15 minutes. Wow, this is going to be a short one, guys. Now, we're going to start doing the caramel popcorn. Now, we're going to make this for real. We're going to make the caramel from scratch. If you have caramel cubes or whatnot already made out, and you want to try to melt those and drizzle them over your popcorn, full disclosure, I do not know how to do that. So, I don't know. We're going to be making the caramel from scratch, though. We're going to be melting our own sugar, all that good stuff. All right, so first things first, get your pan. Make sure it's a pot with a high top, because it's really easy to put too much popcorn in there and have it all pop and overflow over the top. So, first things first, you put the oil in. Now, oil, very calorie intensive, very unhealthy. Comparatively, it's basically all fat. What the oil does is it helps to disperse the heat evenly over the kernels of corn. So it's not actually there for taste. It's more of just like a physical thing that we need. So you want it to cover the bottom, maybe a little bit more just to make sure to cover the bottom, so that the kernels can kind of sit in there when they fall to the bottom and be surrounded by the hot oil. But you don't want a lot, because one, the oil will start soaking into the popcorn and making it kind of gross, and two, like, it doesn't add any flavor really, depending on the kind of oil that you're using. So it's just extra calories. So we're going to, oh, this is a new thing. So then we're going to add our popcorn, our poop corn, as I like to call it sometimes. Just open that up. Ah. Sorry, folks, we're getting problem solving here. I'm sawing the plastic from all the way around. There we go. Let's open that up. Spill a bunch of corn all over the floor. So what we're going to do, reminder, popcorn expands to many times its original kernel size when you pop it. So really, if a pan like this, if you wanted to fill this pan up, I'd say fill it up like just one kernel thick, one layer on the bottom. But for this purposes, I'm making only one serving, kind of. I don't want a whole lot. So I'm just going to cover about half the bottom right there. I was supposed to preheat the oil beforehand, but whatever. Too late now, right? So yeah, you're supposed to preheat the oil. Like an idiot, I got sidetracked, and then wait until it starts smoking, so that way you can pour the kernels directly into the hot oil, and they'll start popping. You put the lid on to try to trap the heat in. So we'll see. Probably shouldn't be too much of a problem, but if all else fails, we can just dump it out and try again. So we're going to be waiting for that. And while we're waiting for that, that's a good opportunity to start shaking up. Make sure to keep it nice Nice and covered by ice. Massage it around so it's inside there. I'm looking good. You missed a thing? Welcome in. What'd you miss? A little miss? Don't worry, little miss. I am doing 2 rounds of this. I am making 2 servings of this. What's cooking? Good looking? Ice cream and popcorn. I will be doing 2 rounds of this. So if you miss the first half, you're fine. We will be doing it again. So stick on by. It's going to be a pretty quick one today. Last time was like 3 hours. We had to do a bunch of like changing between the sink and the stovetop here. But yes, how are you doing, little miss? Are you planning on following along or just absorbing in the knowledge? What's the plan? What's going on with you? Gotta seal that. My bag popped open. So we screwed up and we put the popcorn in before preheating the oil. So hopefully that doesn't kill us. Lovely. Okay, cool. Making some dinner, so absorbing. Fair enough. Well, if you want to make some dessert, well, do this. I did bring some gloves. They're really not clean. I should have cleaned them beforehand, but I did bring some gloves. Well, you know what? Let's just leave that open so people can see it. You can also put 3 kernels in while the oil is heating up when they pop the oil. Thank you, Pokemon. That's also a good... That's what I was doing when I made the hash browns. I threw 1 sliver of brown of hash in there. You back? You're not gonna be very active or hot. If you miss something, you apologize. That's fine. Like I said, I'm always happy to have people come by and watch. I'm never gonna be upset if you can't or don't want to. Either one. Do. We just massaged this. Kernels are starting to boil in there. Hopefully they don't all the stuff, all the internal moisture doesn't like escape or somehow. I seem so happy. It's like I'm holding a baby. Shake, you shake, you shake, you shake, you shake. I don't know. It's nice. I have to admit, it is nice. You know, I spend what 3, 6, 9, or how much do I spend? 6, 12, 24. I spend 24 hours a week, sitting in a chair and streaming. It's nice. Make the ladies broody. What the frick? It is nice every once in a while, you know, once a week to just stand up and not have to focus on a game. Just kind of like talk, gesture around. My hands aren't tied to a controller, you know. It's nice. Ooh, we have 1 pop. Even if, you know, people aren't following along or whatever, it's nice. It's easier to chat generally too and talk about. I was talking about some science earlier. I'm probably going to talk about the science again next time around when I do it next one. Woohoo! All right, starting to pop. 1 pop right out. Holy moly. You guys see that? I don't know if y'all ever make... I mean, microwave popcorn is all fine and good, but it's nice sometimes to make your own. Yeah, that's why you got to make sure you have a lid handy. Shake it a little bit. Make sure all the kernels are falling to the bottom. Oh, yeah. It's kind of sad that the steam heats up the lid and covers it, but, you know, whatever. And thank you, Little Miss, for telling me about Droid Cam. I have my phone on a board here, looking down through a hole in the board, connected to... Hey, Dagummy, Cook 2.0, let's go! We're making some desserts this time. Last time it was breakfast, this time it's sweets. Right now we're making some popcorn. I'm sure you read the title for some caramel corn. We have ice cream freezing right here. And if you're planning on cooking again. I should set up a bot to like just say this a bunch. Set up my bot to just say like, hey, if you'd like to follow along, don't worry, we do 2 batches. Join the Discord. We have everything in the cooking channel, all the ingredients you'll need as well. So I'm not doing a lot. Normally, I think that's it. Normally, you'd want to do a bit more popcorn, but since I'm doing 2 servings, I'm not trying to go too ham. All right, let's see. I'm working on limited space here, folks. So it's mostly stopped popping. So let's woohoo! Yeah, there we go. Most of them are popped. Yeah, you got to be careful. Sometimes they pop on you. All right. And so our next thing to do, either a bot or text on screen. This is true, but the bot could can put a link to the Discord. My sugar. Bum 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 bum. All right. So what we're gonna want to do, we're just want to coat the bottom of the pan with some sugar. And this is how you make caramel, folks. It's just melting sugar. It starts decomposing. I'm not, because sugar, technically, culinary sugar is honey. Yes, you got it. Is sucrose. I believe plant sugar is mostly sucrose. I think sucrose is a dimer, I want to say. It's a 2 disaccharide. I believe it's 2 glucoses. Dang, I got popcorn on the floor. So yeah, you want it to be medium, low heat. You don't want it to be too hot, or you'll burn the sugar before you melt it all. Let me find my spatula. Where did I put my spatula? Over there. Put it over there. So, according to Gordon Ramsay, you're not supposed to stir the caramel or else it'll crystallize. But then he proceeded to stir it once it was almost done anyway, so like I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. He also didn't give much. He didn't give any amounts. I want to crush that little dooba jobby. Now you want to be super careful. It's my phone camera. So, yeah, it's kind of like yeah, I don't know how to change the focus. That's the problem. It's like kind of just an auto. I think so. It's my phone camera. I'm using an app Little Miss told me about called Droid Cam. Yeah. I mean, I can look into potentially seeing if I can't manually change the focus. I was noticing that sooner. So you see it's turning nice and brown. That's what we want. Now you got to be super careful because if I understand correctly, the melting/decomposition point of sugar is higher than the boiling point of water. So what that means is, and it'll keep heating up. What that means is the sugar is extremely dangerously hot. Okay? And it's sticky. So if you spill some on yourself, it will stick to you and continue to burn you. So be extremely, extremely careful around butter. Or butter. I'm about to get butter. Around melting sugar. Well, this butter was frozen when I started, which I didn't want, but then I inadvertently put it behind my laptop's ventilation, so now it's all melted. So that's good. So what you're going to want to do... Uh-oh, it's starting to boil. That's a lot of butter. Put in some butter. He didn't give, like, amounts. So I just kind of... throw that butter in there. Hi, kitty. Kitty's looking at me. She's a scaredy cat. Hi, Heidi. And you want to stir that in. Make it nice and buttery. Sorry, Degummy, I know you're a camera guy. So make that nice and buttery. And then the secret ingredient, put in some baking soda. A bit of baking soda. And that'll start puffing it all up nice and fluffy. So give it what Gordon described it as a honeycomb flavor. Oh, it's starting to smell good. So then what you do is pour all your popcorn right back in there, turn off the heat, and just stir that stuff all around. Move this over here. Get my pan ready. I don't know if y'all can see this pretty well. Yeah, I'm keeping it over the heat so it still stays a little bit melty. And then you want to mix it up nice and well so it doesn't get stuck and, overcoat some but undercoat others. Keeping on the heat helps it to keep it a little or keep it on the hot part, the hot range, even though the heat is off, helps keep this nice and melted so that you can cover all this up. Such an American dessert. Hey, I got the recipe from Gordon Ramsay, so use with that information what you will. And he didn't say anything about America. The breakfast that I made last week is also American. I got from Gordon Ramsay, but he specifically said this is an all-American breakfast. All right, so, and then what you do is spread that all out nice and thin on a baking sheet. Look at that. And then, woo. See, let's put it in focus. Look at that. He's trying to sell himself. He's expanding his market. And then we'll let that cool down. Like I said, you don't want to go too quickly in on it because this stuff is very, very hot. It's probably good to touch right now, but the best caramel corn is at its best when it is has cooled down and has some burnt tongue worth it. Well, the problem is you pick it up, you burn your hands, and you try to put it in your mouth, and then it sticks on your hands and burns the skin off your fingers. And no, your fingerprints will not be permanently burnt off, so you can't get it. Just get it. I wonder if I do this, will it focus? All right. Let me switch. Cut out the middle, man. Let me switch and see if I can't. Woo! Mess with the focus at all. Exposure lock, anti-flicker, stop. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about this exposure. Yeah, problem is it's an app that look, it's me. That specifically. So that's the problem. So yeah. So even if I hold my finger down on the part, Ooh, I double tapped. That's much better. I can't. Of course, the phone's higher than I am. It's right here, so I can't see on it. But yeah, that looks much better. Look at that. Shake the baby. Don't shake the baby. Don't shake the baby. But like, you know what I mean. It's like it's your baby, and you shake it. Tech support Gummy. Look at that. Thank you, thank you. Gummy, you're a video guy, right? Must have been driving you crazy. So again, the thing about ice cream that makes it fluffy and scoopable is the fact that it has air in it. Just want things in focus. Focus, Carl, focus. And the way to get air in ice cream is you stir it or shake it or whip it or whatever while it is freezing, and it freezes. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Carl's gonna whip the baby. Don't whip the baby. Whip it. Whip it good. Come on, baby. Time to go to sleep. The baby. The gummy. Okay, that's still pretty darn liquidy. I was gonna give a sample to my dad, and Eric, because this is his portion. How long? It says 10 minutes, 10 to 30 minutes, which it's definitely been like 15, 20. You want to make sure that all of the ice is surrounding it. I wanted to do a recipe that everyone could do at home, of course. Yeah, so this is ice, salt, and you see like the green Ziploc that in that bag is ice cream, melted ice cream to be frozen. I mean, it's shaken in here. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty solid. Father, would you like to try some caramel corn? Let's make it fancy. Fancy. Let's put it in a big old bowl. There you go, a whole portion of caramel corn. Give us your review in the chat. Is it burnt? Let us know. Yeah, so the biggest thing you can do accidentally with the caramel corn is cook it too long. If you melt the caramel too long, it'll start to burn. And if you get like any burnt sugar in there, it will completely permeate the entire batch, and it just will not taste good. Even if you just get the tiniest bit, it might taste okay, but then the aftertaste will all be just burnt sugar, and it's just nasty. So you want to make super double extra sure that you do not burn any of the sugar. Caramel corn is good, sweet. How is it burnt? Caramel's crunchy but not burnt. That's what we want. How is the amount of caramel? Is it an appropriate amount of caramel? Yes. Okay, good. Unfortunately, I don't have enough ice for a second bag. So I can't just let this sit. Is it still liquid in there? Let's take it out and examine. Yes, chef. Too light, it's more like kettle corn. Good. As you can see, it's still flowing, but it's not totally liquidy. So I think what we can do is, I think we can get away with putting this in the freezer. Potentially. And letting that sit. That's fingers crossed. Perhaps a touch too much baking soda? Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of tasting that. All right. So, I'm going to go on a little be back soon commercial break, that sort of thing. I have to wash the dishes so I can reuse them. If you are thinking about maybe following along next or with this next thing, start getting some stuff prepared. We will be doing all of this all over again. So get your stuff ready. I will see you back in a bit. I will be right back. we're back. You like that song, The Gummy? It's a bop. In any case, we're ready for round 2. Are you ready for round 2? Oh, I'm not. I forgot the milk. So, ice cream. I told myself I got to grab that this time. All right, but I actually know where it is this time. So, ice cream. This is the exact recipe that I made in 8th grade science class, with the exception I replaced condensed milk with heavy whipping cream. Because condensed milk, not as good. So, what we're going to do, we're going to take a half cup. I'm sorry if you're British or whatever and you don't use cups. We're going to take half cup of heavy whipping cream. Well, this is whole milk. But we have a cup. These things happen sometimes. Can't believe it just ramped right up and splashed out. But whatever. That's how we like it, live on the internet, with all its flaws. Anyway, I'm just gonna get milk all over this frickin' pan. I'm gonna need to rinse it off before I put all my crud on it. Anyway, you don't want to shake up the heavy whipping cream too much, or it'll turn into butter. True story. So then we need a half cup of heavy whipping cream. So this is the stuff that they use to make whipped cream. Real whipped cream, not like the stuff that Cool Whip or some crap like that. So that is basically almost entirely milk fat. And you can whip that up to make heavy whipping cream, or with whipped cream, when you mix it with some sugar and vanilla and stuff. If you just shake it up without that a lot, it'll start turning to butter. But we're not here to make butter. No churning butter today. All right. So there's that. And then we have, I believe, 4 teaspoons of sugar. If you guys didn't know, in America, our sugar comes in batches, boxes, or jugs of tubs, if you will, of marshmallow cream. True story. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 teaspoons of granulated sugar. And then a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. If you don't want to do vanilla, you can forego this step. I'm not doing vanilla, but I still like the splash in there. It's nice. Don't try vanilla extract by itself. It tastes like alcohol because it's stored in alcohol. Or at least I assume it tastes like alcohol. I don't really know what alcohol tastes like. And then we're going to want, hold on, let me get a spoon. You're going to want your flavoring. Now, my flavoring, I have chosen to do black raspberry. This is homemade black raspberry jam. Every summer, a bunch of wild black raspberry plants, they look like red raspberries, except they're tinier and black, grow on the old property. And we go out and pick them, get a bunch, and then we make them into jam, which I think is jelly in British. It's kind of weird. It's like jelly in jam in American English is jelly in British English. Jelly in American English is jello in British English. And jello in American English is gelatin in British English. Because jello is a very popular name brand of jello. All right, so I'm going to take a big old spoonful of black raspberry jam. Let's get that in there. So I'm making some black raspberry ice cream tonight. So that's what's cool about this. You're making your own ice cream. You can add your favorite flavoring of choice before it is frozen. You don't have to do it like topping style or whatever. You can just add it before it's ever frozen, so it gets all mixed in, and you can make whatever flavor of ice cream your little heart desires, as long as you have the flavoring. Saw an interesting video from a British guy, the name of Tom Scott on YouTube. It's an educational one. He released a... I'm going to need some paper towels for this. He released a channel called Tom Scott Plus, where the whole point being he and someone else he's collabing with, Tom Scott plus someone else, do a thing together that the guest, is good at. And he linked up with a cooking channel, and they made funny ice cream flavors. They made ice cream flavors that they thought could go either way. So the flavors Tom Scott came up with were cheddar and apple pie, and like spicy raspberry or spicy strawberry, which is very interesting. And then the chef guy came up with like it was something safe. It was like white chocolate and marshmallow. You like to take spicy ice cream? Yeah, it was like they thought it was good. Ooh. I might want to add more. No, I'll probably be good. They thought it was good, but the problem was he chopped up a habanero in there, but it wasn't finely ground, so you'd get like a seed that would stick in your throat and make it hot. So he was like, I could see it working if you made sure to finely powder the habanero. Because I cannot remember. It was some like specific spice that he got from like a friend in Taiwan or something. He was going to use the original thing, but the problem was it was all written in Taiwanese. And he couldn't read the part that said keep refrigerated. Okay, so I'm using the bag just pre-made from last time. But if you're interested if you take like a big old gallon-sized bag, you fill it with ice, and you put like a cup of salt. I have specifically rock salt. I mean, rock salt's cheaper. It says ice cream salt specifically for making ice cream. You're not gonna actually eat the salt. If you do it right, your ice cream your ice cream mix should not, I repeat, should not come into contact with the salt ice mix. So it can be rock salt and stuff. So I'm just going to shake this around a bit, make sure all of the ice and all of the salt are nice and mixed up. I think it was pretty well mixed up last time, but I just wanted to make sure. So let's open that back up. You know what? Let's do this where y'all can see it. I have such limited space here. I've got like a couple temporary tables set up. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to pour half of this into one of the other bag, put the ice cream bag, and then pour that, pour the rest of the ice back in. You'll see what I mean. So what you want to do is you want to take a quart, medium-sized baggie, small to medium-sized baggie. Open it up. And then pour your mix in there. all the raspberry seeds stuck on the bottom. See, I love black raspberry, but the worst part about it is there's really no way to separate the seeds from the fruit because they're so small and integrated with each other. And the seeds are just so tiny and hard. You'll be like, brush your teeth right after and still be picking them out 2 days later. That's an exaggeration, but yeah. So now, shake it up. You want to whip it up nice and well beforehand, but shaking it up in the bag as well. It's a good idea. In 8th grade, they required, but I recommend get a lot of the air out. Don't get all the air out because remember, you do want to whip some of that air in because that's what makes ice cream scoopable instead of just hard like ice. Is the fact that air is whipped in there. So because the air is whipped in there, it's not as stable as a structure. You can't really form crystal structures in there because there's too much air. There's not enough ice cream on ice cream action. Not mix on mix touching, so it can't stick together. So you want to shake it up nice and good, so you can whip it up. Kind of weird. I keep hearing my phone if it pings. I'm like, oh, gotta check nope, my phone's a camera. Shake it up nice and well. See, nice and purpley pink. So there's 2-gallon bags. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna separate these back apart. I'm gonna pour some of the ice, the salt ice, into the other bag. And I'm going to put the bag in here. And then to ensure that it's covered, actually, you know what? I'm going to put the bag in here and then pour the more ice over the top. And that way, hypothetically, theoretically, it'll get nice and covered. I probably should have just poured. Oh, that's a lot of salt. Probably should just put the bag in. Maybe I'll do that. I'll put the baggie in. So you want to double bag it, make sure it's not getting. I'll put the baggie in the bottom because it's probably less dense. Whoop. We're doing on the fly stuff. That's the beauty of being live. We can take this out of here. And then we should be able to seal this up nice and well. And then we can put it in the other bag for stability's sake. And then what you're going to want to do for the next 10 minutes to half an hour you're going to want to shake it up because you want it to freeze with that air inside. That is the goal. So, scientifically, you might want some winter gloves because this stuff gets cold. Scientifically, what's happening? Why ice, salted ice, icy salt? Oh, I forgot the salt. It's supposed to be salted caramel. Hold up. Completely forgot about that. Oh, well. That's down the line. So what the science is, salt water has a lower melting point than regular water. So salt ice has a lower melting point as well. So it lowers the melting point so it can make it so it melts more easily. That's why they put salt on the roads If you're from a snowy place, you know they put salt in the roads in the winter. If it's snowy, it lowers the melting point of ice so that it can melt at down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Because salt water, fun fact, melts at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I have to rinse my hands off. I got salt water on them. So what that does is it forces the ice to melt. And when something melts, when something goes from a solid phase to a liquid phase, it needs thermal energy to do that. It needs energy to break all the bonds, keeping it together in a crystalline structure so it can like flow freely. So it has to get that energy from the environment, and that's why we surround the ice cream with it. It gets the energy from the ice cream. So it sucks energy out of the ice cream, aka it cools the ice cream down. And the reason you could just throw that stuff in the freezer, but it'd freeze without, like it would settle, it wouldn't be all shaken up, and the air would escape, and then you'd have to melt it and try again. One thing that I also would do is I just make an ice cream base, and I wouldn't care about aerating it because I would make a shake out of it. And when you make a shake, it doesn't matter if it's airy or not because the blender breaks it all up. Okay, so onto the popcorn, the caramel corn. So first things first, you make the popcorn. So you want to cover the bottom of the pan in oil. The oil does not have any culinary, like, taste effect to it. Come on. Hello? Don't tell me I got water on the range. I think I might have gotten water on the sparker. Let's just switch ranges for now. Oh, Dad's got a lighter. I'm pressing the wrong knob. So I was also pressing the wrong knob, and I got water on the sparker. So yeah. Oh, and my camera's messing up. So that's cool. Camera's lagging. All right. So oopsie poopsie. Don't get water on the sparker on a gas stove. It won't work. So what we're going to do here is we're going to preheat the oil until it starts to smoke. One thing my mother suggested earlier, put a few kernels, like 3, in the oil, and when they start popping, then you know the oil is obviously hot enough to pop popcorn. So as I was saying before, the oil doesn't add anything to the taste. It doesn't add anything to the feel of the popcorn. It is purely there to help conduct heat into the kernels so that they pop. So along those lines, you don't really want to use more than you need, because all you're going to be accomplishing is just adding calories to your popcorn. So what we're doing here is we're shaking this thing. Of course, you don't have to make both at the same time. You can do one and then the other. We're shaking the popcorn to keep that stuff aerated while it freezes. Because once you hit a certain point and it's frozen enough, the air won't escape, and that's what happens with the cinnamon ice cream I made earlier. I heated it up such that heated up. I froze it such that it was solid enough that I believe the air would not escape, so you can just chuck it in the freezer. Hush, baby. Shake it nice and up, and this is why you wanted to leave a little bit of water or a little bit of air in there in the bag, so that it can slosh around and start mixing with the air. Gotta make sure the entire bottom of the pan is covered. Da 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 da. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Oh, sorry. Flip my. Da da da. I feel like a father. It's my baby. I think that might need a bit more oil. It's not wanting to cover the bottom as much as I would like. Granted, I don't want to do too much because I swear to God, when you're cooking with oil, almost guarantee like the tablespoon you put in the fan is gonna be. All right, I'm just gonna show this real quick. It's burning orange because I got salt water on it, and salt flames burn orange. So you get some science in there. It's probably not the best. Like I said, I don't have a lot of space. It's hard to move cameras, so I'm doing things like wet things on top of the stove. Ugh. Not ideal, folks. Don't emulate everything you see in this stream. Only my exact instructions. So as long as there's ice to melt, there's ice to pull energy, to pull heat out of the ice cream. Shake the baby. Don't shake the baby. Gotta hush the baby. Make sure to support its neck, you know. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Daddy's gonna eat the raspberry ice cream. I don't know if you can hear it, if it's getting picked up on my mic, but it sounds very weird. It's taking a while. Taking some time. Hey, we passed the hour mark. That's good. So after I'm done cooking all this stuff, we're gonna have a little hangout where we eat the stuff. So stick around for that if you want. Stay in chat. Last time we did. Oh, I need to work out more. My forearms are getting sore. Massaging that around. Are you not popping yet? Do I need to turn it up? I wonder if the salt fires burn. Let's look this up. Do salt fires burn colder? Do salt flames burn colder? The colors of the flame. Why does it change? If I'm not mistaken, that's a poppy boy. It's hot enough to pop. All right. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right. Probably stand to do a little bit more. There we go. Now we do want to put the lid on. Unfortunately, I know it's harder to see them all pop from the camera there, but these things pop violently. I mean, I've got popcorn all over the floor here from when I pulled the last batch off the heat, and then one popped right as I pulled the lid off. Like, it wasn't even on the heat anymore, but it popped after. And I was like, gosh darn it. So we will be making salted caramel this time. Yell at me if I forget the salt. So theoretically, it will be salted caramel. Now, salted caramel's been like all the rage. Ooh, salted caramel this. I don't know. I don't feel anything wrong with regular caramel. But I mean, I do feel like if you put a little pinch of salt, it can help. Because it's popcorn. Popcorn goes well with salt. All right, got anything else? Nope. Okay. Why is popcorn so mesmerizing? It's popping in there. I sometimes want to shake it to make sure all of the kernels fall to the bottom. Yeah, it's like, ooh, it's just barely not. Usually you put a lot more, so it's all popping up, which is why it's not as violent. But, I'm trying to make more reasonable serving sizes right now. Normally, this is something you do at a party. You do all this, make it, set it out, and then, let everybody have in there, have at it. Okay, so that's probably going to be good enough for me. Don't you dare. Don't you dare pop. All right, we're going to throw all that. Pretty darn popped. And then, of course, turn the heat down a fair deal. And we're going to put the sugar on there. Oh, sugar. So a trick to making caramel, do it at a lower heat. I was saying this ad nauseum last time, but in cooking, in terms of whether you should use high heat or low heat, high heat will cook the outside more quickly, but might not cook the inside. But it'll be faster. Low heat generally will cook. No, that's fine. Low heat in general will cook it more slowly, but more thoroughly, and everything to the right thing. Sometimes you want that sear on the top, like when cooking a steak. You want to cook it at a lower heat, make sure to cook through the center so you don't burn the outside before you and have you can if you turn it on too high heat, of course, you can literally burn the outside and have the inside still be raw. But you want to cook it, and sometimes people will throw it on a real high heat to just sear the outside, to really lock everything in. That's okay in my opinion, but so that's nice. I've been told if you stir the caramel while it's melting, it'll start recrystallizing. I'm not sure how true that is, but if you put a nice thin layer, you should have everything melt down without having to stir it. Just encourage that to get nice and dissolved. Okie dokie. And then we're going to add just a tiny bit of salt. Gordon was like, just a pinch of salt, and then he like grabs a whole bunch and just, no. Tiny bit. The tiniest of bits. And then we're going to plop our butter in there. Get in there. Probably like half a tablespoon of butter. We're going to stir that all around. Good stuff. Probably a little too much butter, actually. But yeah, it smells lovely. And then we're going to put a little bit of baking soda. We got some feedback last time that I could probably use a little bit less. So let's just put a tad in there. We'll start mixing that around. That should make it nice and fluffy. Oh, yeah. Nice and fluffy. Will that be enough? I don't know. And then we'll turn the heat off, rather, first. And then we'll put our popcorn back in. And then keep stirring that up and all around. Yeah, maybe I probably could have stood to have more sugar there. But we're still going to get a decent coating on this. It's not going to be super killer, though. It's going to be nice and light on the caramel, this one is. Of course, you learn this with practice. I have not had a lot of practice with this recipe, truth be told. The last one I did last week, I absolutely did. But this one, this week, not a whole lot. But this is nice and lightly carameled. So I'm not going too crazy. So remember, mix it around nice and thoroughly in the hot pot so it stays a little bit heated. The heat is off. The gas is off. So you stir this all right. Spin it right round, baby. Right round. And then you can dump it out. And then take that off the heat. Spread that around. So it's nice and one layer thick. See, this is an example of a little bit lighter on the sugar. Look at that. Yummy, yummy. See, you can see it's a lot lighter. There's a lot less caramel on it. I figured I'd try one of each, so I'd have a batch of each. And there you go. That's how you do it. Let's check on... It's not super... Let me just pull it out for you. Let me get some paper towels so I don't drip salt water into my computer. I think that'll be bad. But yeah, you can see if I squish it around. Let me give it the big face. If I squish it around, it's starting to freeze. Got hungry watching this? So you see it's starting to freeze. It's not all liquid. Got hungry watching this? Well, I think I did a good job then. That is going to finish it for the cooking portion of the stream to Gummy. Don't go anywhere. I will be doing mukbang of sorts. I'll be eating it with you all. So let me just throw this in the freezer. The whole thing in the freezer. And then, because once it gets solid enough, you don't have to keep shaking it around because it will retain the air, and that's the important part that makes it ice cream and not cream ice. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take another short break. I'm gonna move everything over to the dining room, and we are gonna eat together. Stick around, guys. We can chat. We can talk about maybe next week, what we're doing next week. I don't know. But yes.
And there goes the battle.
I will be right back. Hello. All right, we got everything set up. Still hear me? Testing, testing. Okay, good. So here we have this. I'm going to let that stuff freeze. Oh, look at that. It's all one big mass. And then once it starts freezing, I'll go get it. So, to those of you who are still here and actively watching, how was it? Did anybody follow along at all? Will anybody follow along in the future? I will be posting. This will be going on my whatchamacallit, my YouTube. And if I didn't already, I posted the first one on the cooking channel, maybe. If I didn't do that, gotta keep my elbows on the table. I'll do that later. Oh my god, my hair made it in. That's gross. That's why you wear a hairnet. I suppose that's supposed to happen when you live with multiple cats. Does anybody have any suggestions in the future of what we should do? So I think this tastes good. It does taste like caramel corn. There is like a mild burnt aftertaste. Mild. And I'm wondering when you move into your own place someday. Yeah, because I plan on doing this. I was mentioning this earlier to Lil Miss, but I like that I can move around. You know, I stream during the week. I stream 6 hours Monday, 6 hours Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You know, I stream a full day's worth of just sitting in a rocking chair. You know, it's fun every once in a while to get up, move around, say hi, on a more chat focused, like talking about what I'm doing. Because like playing Stardew, I do a lot of the same thing over and over again, so it's hard to talk about. To keep it interesting to talk about that. So yeah, my computer is unplugged, so we'll see. It shouldn't die immediately, but I might have to cut stream short. So yeah, I'm thinking of just doing this each week, coming in, doing it with the intent that people can follow along. I don't think anyone has followed along, either of them, and that's more than fine. I hope someone does follow along in the future. And if they do make their own whatever, I'd love to see it. Like, and I mean that honestly. If you in the Discord, you want to drop that in the cooking channel, 100%. Is that hair or sugar? Because the sugar can string. That's what cotton candy is. Or fairy floss. What do you call cotton candy? So, spun sugar into strands so it's nice and fibrous. Give it out like carnivals and stuff. Do y'all still call it cotton candy? Is it like fairy floss in some parts of the EU? I don't know. I want to say it is, but so yeah, this is pretty good. The mild burned aftertaste, because it's really hard to get that out if it gets in. Really hard to get out. So these, I had like this Gordon Ramsay kick where I was just watching a bunch of Gordon Ramsay episodes of like him cooking stuff. And these recipes were the ones that were the most able to do, like on stream. I thought was the most feasible ones for me to do. But yeah, I would love to get more suggestions. I have yet to get any suggestions on what to cook in the Discord. It would need to be something that's not like complex enough that it takes up time, Like, I took it up in a better part of an hour and a half making a couple of these. Call it candy floss here. Okay. So not fairy floss, candy floss. Yes, I was close. I like cotton candy more as a descriptor because it's like more because cotton is fibrous. Floss is stringy. So I do think, in my unbiased opinion, cotton candy is a better descriptor. Um, but yeah, it would need to be complex enough to take some time. You know, it wouldn't be if I was making cotton candy. It's like one, they can't follow along at home unless they have a candy. Um, I mean, unless I was making it by hand, like the way where you cover it in cornstarch and then you pull it apart and then wrap it up and pull it apart and then wrap it up and pull it apart. That would be a maybe. Which, like, I don't know what it's called. Some YouTube video, the guy said dragon's beard. But that's not, you need a cotton candy machine. And then, yeah, that would be, you know, that would not be good. Center the camera. That would not be good for following along at home. First things first, bring out your cotton candy machine or your candy floss machine. Not everyone has those. I have one of those back home. And then the other thing was, it's not too complicated. Like, literally, it would just be me pouring sugar into a cotton candy machine. I love milk, by the way. I don't know if y'all know this about me because I don't drink a lot of milk on stream. I have like 3 glasses of I have a glass of milk worth with every meal. Like about a glass, pouring milk in my cereal, and then I will almost inevitably have a glass of milk with lunch and dinner. So this is 1% or not semi-skimmed. It's less than semi-skimmed milk. It's like 3/4 skimmed milk. So 1/4 of the fat. Because whole milk is, generally speaking, of course, it can change with a cow. Whole milk is 4% milk fat. So 4% milk is whole milk. 2% milk, or I'm told in the UK it's called semi-skimmed, which makes sense because you skim half the fat off. It's 2%. And then there's skim milk, which I believe everyone agrees is called skim milk. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be making like beef Wellington where you have to prepare the dough beforehand and let that rise, and it would just take too long and people would be able to follow along. I'm not opposed to trying new recipes on stream and talking my mindset. Yeah, 24-hour beef Wellington on stream. 24 hours do my first 24-hour stream and have it be beef Wellington. No, thank you. But I'm not opposed to trying out a new recipe on stream. And maybe it'll go horribly right, and maybe it'll go or horribly wrong, and maybe it'll go great. Both of these are recipes I've made multiple times before, so both of them are ones that I'm very confident in. So there is that. What about you, Degummy? You have anything you'd like to see me do on stream or anybody else is working. Any recipes you want to see me. And it could be something that you like. It could be something that you've always wanted to see someone try. Again, no beef Wellington. None of the beef Wellington. Yeah, no, probably something that requires more cooking. Even if it was like a beef steak, it'd be like, oh, I'd just be grilling a steak, or I'd just be frying it up. Like that's not as interesting. Something that requires preparation, multiple stages even. This one was pretty good because I didn't have to switch between the sink view and the oven view, the stovetop view. There's a cat meowing at me. Oh, you can see her. Right here. Like a little kitty. She's gone. She's really scared of everything. Sometimes when she thinks I'm eating like bacon or something, she'll meow at me. I don't know why she thinks I don't know what she thinks I have right now. I wonder. Is this like a burnt piece? Right here. I wonder. Doesn't taste burnt. What flavor? Here's another thing that y'all, if you were to make your own ice cream, and you could make your own ice cream, what would you do? What flavor would you do? So if you did this recipe and you had the freedom to flavor it however you wanted to, would you stick to something you knew, or would you try to make something spicy? Do elaborate, Tagami. What do you think you would put? What kind of sauce? Might be something I've never heard of before, but I'm personally not a fan of spicy stuff. No idea. Just throw Tabasco sauce in there. I don't know. I'm not a spicy guy. Oh, wasabi. I've had wasabi on like one occasion. Do you guys know what natto is? Natto is a fermented soybean paste. In high school, they told me I had to take a language and I didn't want to take Spanish, French, or German, which were the only options. So I had to take Japanese at a nearby university to have it count. And natto is this fermented sticky soybean paste. And our professor brought some in. And I was like, shoot, I want to try it. Like, let's go. And she brought wasabi to put on it. And it was the weirdest thing because I ate it, right? The soybean paste wasn't bad. It was fine. Wasn't super flavorful. Wasn't disgusting or anything. But the wasabi, it was really weird because it was like super spicy. Super spicy. It was really hot. Hurt my mouth. But then all of a sudden it went and then stopped. Completely stopped. Usually the spice hangs around, but with wasabi it just flamed my mouth and then stopped. That would be very interesting. So dairy is supposed to help cut and like fat. No, it wasn't huge. It wasn't huge. Dairy is supposed to cut spice, hotness, um, and so is fat. I think so. Ice cream theoretically should, right? Wasabi. There's a scene from Cars 2, not the best movie, where Mater, voiced by Larry the Cable Guy, comes up and says, "Hey, look, it's pistachio ice cream." in they're in Japan, and then the poor like sushi chef or whatever is like, what? Doesn't speak fluent English, and he's like, that pistachio ice cream, can I have some of that? And he's like, no, no, wasabi. I don't know, same old, wasabi with you. Anyway, very contrived scene, but he's like, all right, give me some of that. So the dude's like, okay, I'll give you the tiniest fleck. You can try it. And he's like, no, keep going. It's free, isn't it? So he splatters on a whole thing, and then he eats a whole spoonful like it's pistachio ice cream. And then he ends up crashing the ceremony because, stupid thing. Very stupid. But it already looks like ice cream. I hate it when movies do that, when they have characters that are just dumber than a sack of potatoes. Like no regular human would make mistakes, or car or person entity would make mistakes like that. Like if you thought it was ice cream, cool. But then as soon as you sniffed it, or it's, oh, this is not cold, Although, do cars have noses? I don't know. Oh, something that takes like a week or whatever, or can take a week. Putting it in the freezer, fridge, and so maybe making two recipes that day. One of which you can finish that day, and another of which that you can that I'll just put in the freezer or the fridge, and then pick it up next week. That's a good idea. If I had a recipe that was like that, I'd do that. Something maybe like a gelatin that would sit overnight or something. I'm also kind of stalling because I want the ice cream to freeze. It's probably still not going to be an adequate texture, but I do want to try a bit of it on stream. Stuff is pretty good. Nice and light on the caramel. I'm not a huge fan of just plain popcorn. It's kind of like a waffle, right? Nobody eats just a waffle. It's always what's on the waffle that they're really eating. Just an excuse to eat syrup or whatever. Finish this crud up here. All right. Let's go grab the ice cream. All right, folks, to finish it up, we have black raspberry ice cream. It's not completely frozen, so I'm not going to eat the whole thing. You can kind of see in here. It's not entirely, but I think it's frozen enough to get a gist. You can see it's kind of a little gooey. You know, that's really good. Honestly, that's really good. I think, folks, we can call that a successful stream. Almost 2 hours long. I did not think it would take this long. But yeah, folks, thank you for coming out. Let's see if we can't find someone to raid. We got 3 viewers. Anyone cool looking from the food and drink category? Sometimes it's hard to find someone good. What's this person cooking? I don't know. They brought broccoli. Oh, they're buffering. Let's say no to them. Mixology. Nah, I'm not doing alcohol. Maybe we won't find someone to raid. Well, in any case, thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you, Dagami, for chatting with me and giving your inputs. I appreciate everyone coming by. GG's indeed. I'd call that it was a success. I can't wait until I have my first catastrophic failure of a stream where I burn something beyond recognition or drop something on the floor or otherwise completely make my recipe unsalvageable. But that's part of the fun of live streaming. You never know what you're gonna get. Life's like a box of chocolates. In any case, thank you everybody for coming out. If you are currently lurking and you like what you saw and you're not following, feel free to give me a follow. And if you are following and you want more content from me, you can check out my other social media in the description below if you're on desktop. Or if you'd like to support the stream financially, you can subscribe. Other than that, stay safe out there, folks. Get boosted as soon as you're able to if you're not already. If you are not boosted, don't leave your house unless you need to. But if you do need to leave your house, make sure you wear a mask. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people and wash your hands often. Next stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see you then. Stay safe out there, folks. Bye.